Hello, and welcome to She Leads Biotech, the podcast that celebrates women leaders in the bioscience space. I'm your host, Sharon Cox, CEO and Managing Director of CNA International, based right here in New York. And each week I'll be talking to women leaders about their work, their triumphs and challenges, providing invaluable insight into how women can unlock their superpowers and succeed on their own terms. So whether you're navigating your own career path in bioscience or you're passionate about science and innovation, I hope you're empowered and inspired by each episode. One of the core focuses of She Leads Biotech is women's health. And over the course of this podcast, I've had the privilege of speaking with some truly remarkable women whose work has led to life-changing innovations in treatments, products, and approaches that are transforming care for women everywhere. Today's guest is continuing that tradition in a powerful and deeply personal way. She's not a doctor, and she hasn't spent her whole career in healthcare, but what she is a woman and a patient who's been shut down, brushed off, and discouraged throughout her healthcare journey. Sound familiar? And it's precisely who she is that has become her why. She's now the founder of FoXX Health, a groundbreaking new app that gives women ultimate control over how they approach their healthcare needs, putting power, clarity, and choice back where it belongs, with the patient. To hear more about her mission, the app, and her why, please welcome Maria Haugen. Maria, hello, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. Happy Friday to you.
Yes, you as well. We made it through another week.
Yay, another week. And then the weekend will come and go and we'll be back to Monday again.
All too soon, yes.
There you go. Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time out to spend some time with me. From the minute I saw your LinkedIn post, I was like, I need to speak to this woman and find out what is going on. But before we get to the really exciting part of the story, talk to me about your journey, because you're not a scientist, you're not in biomedical, you're not in anything like that. So what has your journey been and what's brought you to here and now?
Yes, I'm happy you brought that up. I am not a doctor. I do not have a medical background. And a lot of the times I get questioned, well, how are you building a women's health app? How are you building a women's health company? And I think because of what I'm not is now led me to who I am and what I'm building. My background is it started in marketing. I then got my MBA in supply chain. Then I went into consulting. And then I've been working with startups and AI. But most importantly, I'm a woman. I'm a patient. And I have been brushed off by medical professionals throughout my health journey as well. A few years back, I was going through a health scare that had to do with my heart. I felt as though I was having heart attacks, which I was not. But no one could tell me what was wrong. I would turn to search engines and they would say, well, go to the hospital if you think you're having a heart attack. And I couldn't get answers. For 6 months, I was trying to get referrals to specialists, get people to understand what I was saying. Was I saying something wrong? Were my symptoms not as severe as I thought they were? I had to stop exercising. I had to stop eating certain foods. Doctors recommended antidepressants or anxiety medication. Ultimately, I was diagnosed with a heart condition called costochondritis, which if you look up the symptoms, replicates a heart attack. So for 6 months, I truly felt as though this was happening to me and I was going to die. And that led me to further understand what tools I did have, and that exposed what I didn't have. And that was a way to be better prepared, to fully track my symptoms, to really interact with the great knowledge that we have and are continuing to gain in the women's health field. So I'm really here to advocate for patients who don't have that health background, because I understand what it's like to be one of them.
The stats are pretty astounding, aren't they? I mean, I don't have them off the top of my head. I don't know whether you do.
Yes.
But they're pretty scary.
Yes. So there was a recent study that was actually done this month that 93% of women felt dismissed by a health professional last year alone. 66% of women received a misdiagnosis in the past 2 years, and more than 25% of a woman's life is spent in debilitating health than men. On average, we're diagnosed 4 years later than we should be, whether that be because we don't feel like we can trust our health providers or we are misdiagnosed. We don't have the answers yet. So the stats really support, unfortunately, what we're building at FoXX, and that's a big reason why we're building it.
Why is this? I mean, do we as women, because maybe it's a male doctor and so he must know these things, or is it the same? Do women have the same experience if they're seeing a woman doctor? Or is that different?
I would say that it definitely skews towards male doctors. However, I will give some the benefit of the doubt. Male doctors have stood up to be advocates for women. And through 2 years of interviews speaking to women about this type of resource, I've heard some stories of women doctors saying things that are just as harsh, if not harsher, to women. A woman shared her story with me where a doctor actually said to her, "Do you want something to be wrong with you?" Because she was, one of multiple doctors she had seen. And what a terrible thing to say to anyone who's in pain looking for answers. So truly, I believe that it tends to skew male, but females are not to blame in this situation either.
Right. And is there a certain element where it's difficult for women, I don't know, maybe it's difficult for anybody, to almost challenge authority? I say this because I've been through very recently, and it's my first encounter in a medical situation in the US. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure in my head whether it's a US thing, whether it's a man thing, whether it's a me thing or whatever. But I recently, just overnight, got some tingling in my face, and like the whole side of my face felt like it was really, really badly sunburned. Which was fine as long as I didn't touch it. But if I did touch it, it would give off that real kind of sunburny feel. Ooh. And I left it for a few days. I don't really know what it is. I'm sure it'll just go away, and it didn't. And I went to the urgent care people and they said, well, it could be this and it could be that. And they did all the obvious, is it Bell's palsy? Are you having a stroke? Can you raise your eyebrows and stuff like that? But it didn't get any better. And then I ended up in the ER 24 hours, which I don't actually know why I needed to be there for 24 hours, to do an MRI, to then have to go and do a follow-up with a neurologist. And I consider myself to be quite a strong person. I don't have any problem saying, excuse me, but what's all that about? But I did find myself, okay, which is so not like me at all. But I almost allowed that. These are doctors, these are male doctors, they're specialists because they brought in the neurologists and all these very clever names and things. So it must be okay. And 3 weeks later, the best that I got from the follow-up with the neurologist is, well, we know what it isn't, and is it better now? So maybe it was just a one-off. Mm-hmm. And the question, because I'd spent a week feeling really disorientated, and I didn't know whether that was the medication or whether or not it was the symptoms of what I had. And it turned out that the neurologist said, why are you taking this strength of tablet? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, because that's what was given to me to take. Oh, no, it's twice the strength that you should have been taking. Mm. And so that's why you've been feeling disorientated. And you think, okay, is it that we as women kind of almost have this godlike thing with doctors that because they're saying it must be right and we must be right and we mustn't question it?
Right. That's a great example because I think there are so many different areas that can be improved in that story alone. First and foremost, I want to stick up for the doctors here too. They have to run these tests to make sure, rule out the stroke, everything going on. And they can only do what they can with the information you've been able to give them. So that's really a big part of FoXX as well, is what can I do better? So for example, when did that start on the side of your face? You said you had waited a few days. Has the severity changed? Is it into your hairline or is it moving forward into your optical area? And then additionally, are you currently taking any medications? If so, what dose? So how we're presenting these as well is really important to the type of care we receive, which is not really a tool outside of menstrual tracking apps and also mental apps. And then finally, in terms of not really being able to stick up to authority, I think there is a part of that because doctors are trusted for so long. I mean, they have to go through rigorous amounts of schooling and testing and be within regulation for what their specialty is. And we should have a lot of respect for them. But to your point, I feel as though women have been taught to, say okay. And, it's going to be okay because they told me that. Or we, don't fight with them, don't argue. They do know best. And that's a big reason why FoXX also has the specific questions. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, I would like to go through this. I'm taking notes. It gives that extra layer, that in-appointment companionship, while also supporting the doctor and saying, I've written down my symptoms so you know exactly what it is. So I think it's a big combination of everything going on in that situation, but flipping it back to the patient and how we are better able to present everything and also giving us the tools to stick up instead of saying, that's not good enough. I'm not getting off your table until you give me an answer. We haven't addressed these couple questions. Would you mind talking through them with me? Peace of mind, right? I think it's really just more taking back the control of the conversation.
Okay. So you've covered little bits of it. So I apologize. I'm probably going to make you repeat the whole thing. But talk to me about FoXX. It's an app, right?
Yes.
And what exactly is this app going to do for me as a woman?
Yes, absolutely. Great question. We are a mobile app. We are a mobile app that has a lot of different features. In our essence, we like to be seen as a health journey companion. What that means is we are not specific to any specific health need, such as menstrual tracking, mental health. There have been a lot of apps that have to do with holistic health that have come out as of late. What we are meant to be is from the patient side going into an appointment. So we have an option where you can create a checklist. Our basic model still has over 200 questions that I have been speaking with healthcare professionals to create. Here are questions you should always ask a PCP. Here are questions you should be asking if you're getting into holistic medication, so on and so forth. Selecting the type of appointment you're going to. And then with your checklist, you can take that into the appointment. You can take notes. You can be sure, hey, we haven't covered this yet. I would like to talk about this if you wouldn't mind. Being able to stick up for yourself. On average, doctors have 30 minutes for new patients and only 15 for existing. So being mindful of their time, they don't really even keep their own schedule. So that will be helpful for them as well, or even the nurse that's doing the intake. There are so many amazing companies that are moving us forward so far, and you can complete a personalized health assessment, your age, your height, your weight, but also your race, also your location. That would all come into play when looking at your health, and based on the type of appointment, it will give you a specifically curated list that you can bring with you. We also have symptom tracking, as I mentioned, similar to how we're used to tracking symptoms for menstrual health. Think of it on a grander scale. If you're going into a general appointment, have you been experiencing anything? Or what type of medication at what dosage are you taking? Or if you had to schedule a specialist appointment, why are you going? How can you accurately represent what is going on so the doctor can better help you? It truly is that two-way street. And I think women have been doing so much to try and move ourselves forward, except stand up for ourselves. And that's really what FoXX Health aims to do. Additionally, people aren't going to appointments every day. That's no secret. So we're including reasons to continue to come back. Right now, we're partnering with women who are putting out content that has to do with evaluating the different research that's been in the market, talking about companies that are specific for different health needs. You can go to our app and look at other women doing great things. We want to connect the ecosystem of women's health, not shove other companies out of the way. If you're really interested in holistic health, we want to partner with the top 2 holistic health so that way we can say, have you checked out this company? Because based on your questions and your history, this might be a great option for you. It's really being that center hub to get women to where they want to go. So that's what the app will look like. That's why we want women to use it. And those are some of our core features.
Get the data from that's in there.
The data for the AI health assessment or for the news that we're putting in there.
So, for example, you mentioned, here's what you would go into your CPC and PCP and talk about. Did you interview a batch of primary care physicians and say, what are the key things that you want to know when a patient walks in your office? Things like that.
Yes. So this concept I actually started back in 2022. And before I officially launched for 2 years, I've been interviewing women, including healthcare professionals. Right now on our advisor board, our official advisor board, our lead health advisor is a nurse practitioner that runs all of the hospital systems in Michigan, nurse practitioners. So I've been able to meet with specific care, mental health care, PCP, OB, different doctors to give me what are the questions that we should be asking that maybe we are, but maybe we aren't. So that way, even the basic model is still beneficial for our users.
Okay. All right. And when does it launch? Has it launched or?
Yep. So it has not launched yet. Right now, we're in that development phase. And what we're trying to do is gain awareness so that way more women can start, flowing through our website to get this type of information, create the excitement around it to launch early to midsummer. We want to make sure that this first product is giving everyone what we're saying it will. We have an unofficial advisory committee right now of over 100 women. Our first meeting actually happened yesterday, and they're going to be our beta launch users, and we're going to have a feedback cycle. So if anyone wants to get involved, committee@foxxhealth.com. Let us know. We always want more people. We always want to make sure that we're hearing from women because we don't just want to be an app that sits idle on people's phone. What's really important is this is doing what I needed. It's doing what you would need. It's doing what we came here to do, which is to truly help women take back control of their health journey.
Okay. And I should point out that it may have launched by the time this episode airs. It could be worth checking back with you to see if it is now available.
Absolutely.
And is it because, and this will be definitely schooling me on these sorts of things, different states have different policies and different whatever. So will this app be state dependent? And so what might be relevant in one state might not be relevant elsewhere? Or is it generic of what, no matter what it is, it's definitely going to be applicable to every state?
I'm so happy you asked that. Right now in the United States, we're in a very weird and difficult time for women's health. On a daily basis, I'm meeting with our AI engineers to talk about data privacy, cybersecurity, everything pertaining to the type of information that we would need for a personalized health assessment, which is why location is an option for what you can put in. We do not make it mandatory. Some states have criminal laws against what would be considered healthcare for women, and we would never want to put anyone in danger. Also, when signing up for the app, we do not require a last name. We only require 3 characters for the last name. Finally, when you're completing a health assessment, instead of pulling any information from your profile, we actually randomly generate a number that's associated with your health assessment. So that way, if there is ever a data breach, which we are doing everything to make sure there's not, but you never know, it will be near impossible, if not impossible, to match anything that you put in. That being said, yes, there are state considerations. There are absolutely considerations for the type of healthcare you can receive based on where you are located. We are working to explore how that would work based on the output, what type of questions we're having people ask, and then, of course, the security, the privacy, and the safety of the women who would be using our app.
What do you see the future of this app? Where do you see it? Is it Facebook for healthcare in the future? Is it global? Where are your plans, Maria, to take it?
Yes. Well, my focus will always be the patient. And where I see this is, of course, going global. I do see this having the opportunity to help the provider as well. It would be great if before an appointment, I could upload my questions and the doctor could take a look and be like, I pre-screened why you were coming in today and I've pulled some information for you. Or based on why you're here, I'd like to run these tests. Let me tell you why. That also helps the doctor. Their schedules are packed. They're seeing so many people. And if we can't get in there and really tell them why we're there, how they can help us, it's a longer road. It's a more difficult road. It does lead to misdiagnosis. It does lead to a longer diagnosis time. So again, it really is that two-way street. And FoXX is meant to support the health journey as a whole, not to make the doctors the villains in our story. So I really see this as being worldwide, and then also really opening up that two-way street for the total health journey.
Okay. And what will it cost somebody to do this? If I was like, oh, I want to be on this, well, how much is it going to cost me?
Yes. So right now it would be $2 monthly, or you can pay $22 for the entire year, so a month saving. That is a nod to the two X's in FoXX that represent the two X chromosomes that do make women women.
Okay.
Accessible for women. We want to, of course, acknowledge women who maybe aren't in financial situations to use such a tool. The point is better health for women, and we want to make sure that it's accessible.
Fantastic. And what potential pitfalls do you see there being, or questions that women would ask? You've already covered the immediate one of confidentiality and stuff, but are there other questions that might be going through women's mind, or that through your workshops and things that you've done that have been asked, that you could confirm to women, ease their concerns about?
Absolutely. The first consideration that comes to mind is every health journey is different. We will never be able to make a 100% personalized health journey or health plan for anybody, because we won't be able to get that specific. At that point, we would be housing millions of data points just for a list of questions. This is simply meant to give the tools and the thought process to better go in, better prepared for an appointment, especially with use of that symptom tracker. We're doing what we can with AI to make it the most personalized experience. But ultimately, there are such niche areas of health that hitting every single one would require world domination at that point, right?
Why not?
Yeah, that's next year. So, the other consideration as well really are women who are thinking about using the app on a regular basis. Once I take the health assessment, why would I use it again? So, rest assured that we are making sure we're putting in resources for women to really be more involved for reliable information. There is no lie that, my generation's WebMD is now this next generation's TikTok. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's dangerous. People are diagnosing themselves off of someone who does not have the credentials, and what works for one person does not work for someone else. So it's really important that before you take any health advice, you can either vet it through someone else who is qualified, who does have the credentials to be giving that type of information, or use it as a data point. Don't follow it completely, but if you hear something, maybe add it to your list of questions. Discuss it with your doctor. Discuss it with someone who does have credentials. It's really about keeping people safe. So, those are the two considerations I'd like them to keep, that we will be a reliable source. And, we also want to make sure that they see the value in using FoXX.
I guess I'm just thinking off the top of my head of going back to the app regularly for women who like to track their cycle, or, that is something that could be used on a daily basis. I'm obsessed with weight things. And so I write, what does today's scale say? Let me scribble that down somewhere. I don't know where it goes, but and things, how you could maybe use the app to keep recording weight loss or measurement loss, and use that rather than, I don't even know if there's apps that do that, but linking that, because that's all linked to health as well, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. One of our features that we're planning on launching later this year, because of course it takes time once we have that aggregate data, is not only being able to provide data visualization based on what they're putting in our app, but also being able to provide output. Based on what your data is showing us, here's something you could consider bringing up with your doctor at your next appointment. Or here's how many times you've used your exercise log in the app. Keep going. Absolutely, that's something that we're already looking into. We're also looking into an option to partner with other companies where you can put your data in, analyze it, and then that would give you actionable insights. Your levels are high. You should ask your PCP about potentially running a blood test. Now, I want to be very clear, FoXX is not a diagnostic app. We are not giving any medical advice. We are simply giving points of discussion and a better way to really be proactive in your health journey, which is a very large differentiation than some companies that do exist in women's health. But ultimately, being able to look at data and take it and be actionable from that data is already on our to-do list.
Right. And as you say, it is very much, I should reiterate, because I do tend to go off the point at times, that this is an app for women really to give them some feeling of control when they need to talk about their health with a doctor or whoever it is that they're meeting with. And it's more, its initial area is very much that I feel more in control because of my checklist to at least ask the questions and be able to do the follow-up from there. Have I got that right?
Yes. And one of our features in the app as well, you are able to share your checklist with other users. So, mothers who have daughters off at college, but still want to make sure their appointments, they're getting what they need, or women whose mothers live out of state or even potentially in a home. How are we interacting with the other women in our lives to show support? I had a woman tell me a story that she was diagnosed with breast cancer and she was having a friend come to the appointments because she simply couldn't remember or retain information because it was so emotionally draining. And that is a real situation that women face every day. So by being able to have a trusted place where you can record answers, you can get help and support in questions you should ask because everything is overwhelming. We really are your companion in this journey.
Excellent. Well, that sounds amazing. And how are you promoting it? How will somebody like me, I mean, obviously the millions who listen into this show will know immediately to reach out to you. But for the odd one or two that might not be, what steps will you be taking to make them aware that this is happening?
Absolutely. So right now we're doing a lot of organic type of outreach because we really want to be a trusted group of women. With something so personal, it's important people know who's building it. Myself, my team, we're doing a lot to put our names out there. So we have a ton of social media in terms of LinkedIn, TikTok. We're also on Reddit because Reddit is one of the fastest growing areas of women getting their health questions answered. So being active in the conversation is how we're approaching it. We also are working to establish those partnerships I've been mentioning, women who write credible type of information that could be on FoXX, women who are posting research, women who are doing the research, and of course, other companies who have done a fantastic job making strides in those specific health pockets. We want to be a part of it. So a lot of our outreach, how people can find us is joining us in the conversation, joining us in understanding more and how we can really advocate for ourselves.
Excellent. Well, listen, I wish you every success. I don't know why I'm saying that because I know it's going to be an amazing success.
Oh, thanks.
And I look forward to the time when I can download the app. I will most certainly be part of that community. And yeah, I mean, good luck.
Thank you.
And I look forward to following your continued success.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And we're going to help a lot of women.
I'm sure you are. Have a wonderful rest of your day and a fabulous weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. She Leads Biotech is brought to you by CNA International USA, a woman-owned boutique search firm based in New York. If you're looking to hire talent for your company or want support in achieving your career goals, please reach out to me at contact@cnaint.com. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And remember, the success of every woman should be an inspiration to another. So don't be afraid to share yours. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.